Forget Romanian castles and full moons. In the 1990s, the werewolf didn't belong to the forests of Transylvania, prowled the back roads of Wisconsin. On a quiet stretch of farmland near the small town of Elkhorn, people began reporting something that sounded impossible. A creature huge, hairy, and walking on two legs lurking near the edge of the woods, crouched in ditches, or even chasing cars down Bray Road. They called it the Beast of Bray Road. And for a brief, terrifying moment in time, a rural American town became the center of one of the most chilling modern cryptid mysteries ever recorded. The story begins simply enough, with an ordinary person driving home late one night. Imagine this: a dark Wisconsin road lined with bare trees and open fields. The air feels heavy, and the only light comes from your headlights, cutting through the mist. You're driving slowly, careful of deer. Then you see it's something crouched by the roadside, hunched over roadkill. At first, you think it's a large dog, but then it stands up. 7 feet tall, broad shoulders, covered in thick fur, and its eyes glint amber in the beam of your headlights. The shape is wrong to human, too deliberate. It looks at you, and for a moment, time stops. That's how many of the eyewitnesses described it. Not a monster out of fantasy, but something real enough to shake them to their core. By the early 1990s, reports of this strange creature began to pile up. Farmers, teenagers, and even local officials described encounters that matched almost perfectly. The beast wasn't seen just once or twice, it became a pattern. It was usually spotted at night, often near Bray Road, a quiet rural lane outside of Elkhorn. People claimed to see it moving on two legs, sometimes crouching by the road as if feeding, other times crossing fields in long, confident strides. It had the face of a wolf, the chest and arms of a man, and eyes that glowed when caught in the light. The details were so specific, so consistent, that local reporters couldn't ignore it. In 1991, a newspaper called the Walworth County Week published an article titled "Werewolf Sightings in Elkhorn." The story exploded. Residents flooded the newsroom with more accounts, and soon, bigger media outlets picked it up. National news stations sent reporters to Bray Road. The small Wisconsin town that once prided itself on dairy farms and quiet living suddenly found itself famous for something much darker. Skeptics laughed, but locals weren't so quick to dismiss it. Too many people had seen something. What made the Beast of Bray Road different from traditional werewolf legends was how ordinary and modern the setting was. This wasn't some medieval village fearing the curse of the moon. This was America in the 1990s, a time of cars, televisions, and news cameras. Yet, despite all that technology and modern skepticism, people still couldn't shake what they saw. The fear wasn't born from superstition. It came from real encounters. There were claw marks on car doors, deep scratches in barn siding, and even prints in the snow that didn't match any known animal. The more people talked, the more the legend grew. One of the most famous witnesses was a local woman named Doris Gibson. She told police that one October night, as she drove down Bray Road, she felt her car bump as if she had run over something. She stopped, thinking it might be a small animal. When she got out to check, she saw a shape moving toward her in the darkness. Then, standing just beyond the headlights, she saw the creature rise up, massive, furred, and snarling. Terrified, she jumped back in her car and sped off, feeling it scrape against the trunk as she fled. When she got home, she found deep claw marks on her car's rear panel. She wasn't the only one. Another local man, a farmer, claimed to see the same thing, stalking his cattle. He described hearing heavy footsteps outside his barn, followed by low growls that didn't sound like any coyote or wolf. He said it stood upright and moved like a man. He never went near the woods again after dark. Then there were the teenagers. Like all small towns, Elkhorn's young people had their hangout spots, and soon, Bray Road became one of them. Some went there on purpose, hoping to catch a glimpse of the beast. They brought flashlights, cameras, and courage, but few lasted long once the strange noises started. Many reported the same thing: eyes, watching them from the tree line, the sound of something large, moving just out of sight, and a feeling of being hunted. For them, it wasn't just a story. It was an initiation into local fear. But what was the beast? People offered all kinds of explanations. Some said it was an undiscovered species of animal, maybe a misidentified bear or wolf with mange. Others claimed it was supernatural, a shapeshifter, a Native American spirit, or even an escaped experiment. Cryptozoologists, people who study hidden or unknown animals, placed it in the same category as Bigfoot or the Dogman of Michigan. They pointed out that reports of similar creatures existed long before the 1990s, suggesting the beast might not be new at all, just newly noticed. Even local law enforcement had mixed feelings. The police investigated the claims, checking for hoaxes or large predators, but found nothing definitive. Yet many officers privately admitted that something about the reports felt genuine. The fear in witnesses' eyes wasn't easy to fake. They weren't people seeking fame, they were locals, farmers, churchgoers, teachers, people who had nothing to gain and everything to lose by admitting they'd seen something impossible. What made the Beast of Bray Road so haunting was how it blurred the line between myth and reality. The witnesses weren't describing a monster from fairy tales, they were describing an animal. Something physical, something that moved and breathed. There were no glowing magical elements, no spells or curses, just a creature that shouldn't exist, but apparently did. It's that realism that makes the legend so unsettling. The story spread beyond Wisconsin. TV shows like Inside Edition and the sightings ran segments about the creature. People from other states came to Elkhorn hoping to see it for themselves. Some brought cameras, others brought rifles. The town didn't know what to make of its sudden fame. For some, it was a joke. For others, it was a warning that something ancient and predatory was still out there, watching from the tree line. To this day, locals still whisper about it. Some say it was just mass hysteria, a product of fear and imagination. Others believe the creature still roams the back roads when the fog is thick and the moonlight is weak. A few claim to have seen it more recently, describing the same golden eyes, the same hulking frame, and the same terrifying presence. The Beast of Bray Road became more than just a local legend. It became a mirror for the hidden wilderness that still surrounds us. In a world where we think we've mapped everything, the idea that something unknown still lurks in the shadows feels both impossible and deeply believable. Because deep down, we know that not everything out there has been discovered, and not every noise in the night has a name. So when you hear about the Beast of Bray Road, don't think of a fairy tale monster. Think of the cold Wisconsin night, the dark road stretching for miles, the flash of movement in your headlights, the chill crawling up your neck, that S where legends begin, the quiet places between what we know and what we can explain. If you're fascinated by mysteries like this one, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Belmoze. There's a lot more to uncover. And the next story might just make you question what S waiting in the darkness beyond your own headlights. The first thing that froze people's blood about the Beast of Bray Road wasn't just how it looked, it was how it moved, in the quiet rural backroads of Elkhorn, Wisconsin, where farms stretch for miles and nights fall thick and silent. Witnesses began to report seeing something that defied every natural category. It wasn't a man, and it wasn't a wolf. It was something in between. But what set it apart, what burned the image into people's minds, was the way it walked, balanced and deliberate, like a man. A wolf, even the largest, moves low and fluid on all fours. A bear can stand up briefly, lumbering awkwardly before returning to the ground. But this creature, was different. It didn't stumble or sway when upright. It didn't look like an animal trying to imitate a man. It looked like something that had evolved for both worlds, comfortable on two legs, and 4 eyewitnesses said it could crouch by the side of the road, watch passing cars, then rise smoothly to its full height and step into the ditch with purpose, not panic. They described that motion as wrong too natural for something that shouldn't exist. One of the earliest reports came from a young woman driving late one night down Bray Road in 1989. She thought she'd hit something, maybe a dog. When she got out to check, she saw it emerging from the roadside ditch. Tall, broad-shouldered, covered in dark gray-brown fur, its eyes reflecting red in her headlights. It stood upright, panting, its long claws flexing at its sides. She scrambled back into her car, locked the doors, and sped off. But in her rearview mirror, she saw it take 2 steps forward, walking, not running, before vanishing into the trees. Over the following months, others described nearly identical encounters. A farmer claimed he saw it crouched over the carcass of a roadkill deer. Hunched low, but using its hands, not paws to tear at the meat. When his truck lights hit it, the creature turned its head slowly, eyes gleaming yellow, then stood upright, towering above the deer carcass. It didn't bolt like a wild animal would. It simply stared at him for several seconds, as if judging him, then dropped to all fours and loped into the cornfield. That detail, the smooth shift from 2 legs to 4, came up again and again. Witnesses said it could move like a man when stalking, then drop like a predator when it needed to run. Hunters called it a switch predator, something that could blend the intelligence of human locomotion with the raw speed of a quadruped. That description made it worse, because it meant the creature wasn't clumsy or confused, it was adaptive. It knew what it was doing. Local police began receiving reports they couldn't easily dismiss: claw marks higher than any dog could reach, shredded livestock fencing, and deep 5-toed prints pressed into the mud near the edge of woods. Skeptics pointed to bears, but no known bear species in Wisconsin matched the reported gait or limb proportions. Bears have wide hips and narrow shoulders built for climbing and digging. Witnesses said this thing had the opposite: narrow hips, massive shoulders, and long arms that hung low, almost to its knees. It walked like a man who spent his life in the wild. One night, a school bus driver claimed he saw the beast cross the road in front of him as he made his early morning route. The creature, he said, didn't run like a wolf it strode, its head turning slightly toward him as it moved through the mist. He remembered the sound of its steps, heavy even, and distinct. That sound haunted him, because when something walks upright, each step lands with the rhythm of intent. Animals run to survive. Humans, and whatever this thing was, walk to approach. Those who saw it up close often compared its upper body to a weightlifter S-dance with muscle under the fur. Its fur was coarse, matted in places like that of a wild dog. But the chest area looked different thinner, exposing dark, rough skin beneath. It had a snout, unmistakably canine, but the eyes didn't match. Wolves look at you like predators assessing prey. Witnesses said this thing's eyes seemed calculating, curious, almost intelligent. That was the part no one wanted to admit out loud. It didn't just see you. It seemed to study you. A local journalist, Linda Godfrey, started documenting these sightings for The Week, a small Elkhorn newspaper. When she interviewed witnesses face-to-face, she noticed a pattern in their reactions. These weren't people chasing fame or attention. They were shaken, embarrassed, and afraid to even tell the story. Many were lifelong hunters or farmers people who could tell the difference between a coyote, a bear, and a man in a costume. They all said the same thing: it moved wrong. It walked like a man. The creature's gait became the core of its legend. Skeptics called it mass hysteria or misidentification, but the uniformity of the accounts made that explanation hard to sustain. Even people who'd never met, from opposite sides of the county, described identical details: the bend of the knees, the arch of the spine, the way it would drop from standing to running without losing speed. That movement, unnatural yet fluid, seemed to cut through rational thought. Witnesses often reported being paralyzed, not from physical fear, but from the sheer impossibility of what they were seeing. Some biologists who later reviewed the descriptions noted that the creature's supposed leg structure resembled something digitigrade, meaning it walked on its toes, like a wolf or a dog butt with a hip alignment that allowed for upright posture. No known mammal in the region fits that morphology. The idea of a digitigrade biped is practically impossible under normal evolutionary pressure. But the tracks, where they appeared, seemed to support it. Deep impressions of clawed toes, but with the heel positioned oddly forward, as though part of the foot stayed raised while walking. Whatever left them wasn't built like anything scientists knew. In several cases, witnesses also reported seeing the beast crouched, almost sitting, as if resting. One man driving home late from a tavern saw it by the side of the road, crouched low with its arms braced on its knees. When his headlights caught it, the creature turned its head not quickly, but with deliberate slowness and then rose. He described the motion as graceful, almost human, but too fast. That phrase became a shorthand for every sighting that followed. Even more unsettling were reports from those who saw it watching them. Teenagers parked on remote roads described catching its reflection in their car, mirror's eyes low, glowing faintly in the dark. In those moments, it wasn't attacking. It was studying. The impression was always the same: intelligence mixed with hunger. The kind of gaze that belonged to a hunter that knew exactly what it was doing. Local folklore soon tied the beast to older regional myths of shapeshifters and skinwalkers. Some said it was a cursed man, doomed to wander as half human, half animal. Others thought it was a surviving relic of something prehistoric, maybe even a mutation. But all those explanations avoided the most chilling possibility: that it was something entirely unique. Not supernatural, not mythical, but real in a way science hadn't yet confronted. And if that's true, the motion, the upright stride, the switch between biped and quadruped means it's not just a beast. It's a predator, built to mimic humanity, just enough to terrify it. On the dark, lonely stretches of Bray Road, when headlights catch movement in the distance, it isn't the roar or the teeth that make your blood run cold. It's the moment it stands up and walks toward you like a man. Bray Road looks ordinary during the day, just a quiet, rural stretch lined with trees, cornfields, and open sky. But at night, the road becomes something else. Drivers say it changes. The air feels heavier, the silence sharper. The headlights seem to catch shapes that shouldn't be there, movement just beyond the edge of vision. That's where the beast was seen most often, by people simply driving home, minding their own business, when they suddenly found themselves face to face with something no one could explain. The most famous encounters always happened the same way. A car driving slowly down the lonely road, the windows fogging slightly from the cool air, the radio low, and then something by the roadside, a shape hunched over roadkill or crouched in a ditch. At first glance, it looked like a dog, maybe even a bear. But as the car approached, it stood up, not on 4 legs, but 2. It was tall, muscular, covered in fur, and its head was unmistakably canine. Witnesses said its eyes reflected the light like burning amber, intelligent and aware. It didn't run from the car, it watched. One of the earliest and most disturbing stories came from a woman named Doris Gibson. It was a cold October night when she was driving down Bray Road. The road was empty, the fields on either side cloaked in mist. Then she felt her car jolt. Something had bumped against the front tire. Thinking she had hit an animal, she stopped and got out to check. That's when she saw it. Something was moving in the darkness near the rear of her car. It was low at first, crawling, but then it rose. A tall, furry shape, like a man but wrong in every way. She froze as its yellow eyes met hers. Terrified, she jumped back into her car, slammed the door, and sped off. But as she did, she felt the car lurch again, as if something had grabbed at the trunk. Later, she discovered deep scratches along the rear panel, parallel grooves, like claw marks. She told her story to the local police, shaking as she spoke. They investigated but found nothing. No animal tracks, no damage on the road, nothing but the marks on her car. Her account wasn't an isolated one. Around the same time, another driver, a young man from Elkhorn, said he saw the same thing on that same stretch of road. He described a massive dog-like creature standing by the ditch, its breath visible in the cold night air. When his headlights hit it, it turned its head toward him slowly, deliberately, before bounding off into the woods on 2 legs. He swore it moved too smoothly, too powerfully, to be anything human. Then there was the story of a teenage girl driving home after a night out with friends. It was late, close to midnight, when she saw something large moving along the side of the road. She slowed down, thinking it might be a person in trouble. When her lights hit it, she screamed. It wasn't a person. It was tall, hunched, with a wolf's snout and thick fur that glistened in the light. It seemed to notice her car, then took a step forward, not away, but toward her. She floored the gas and didn't look back until she was in town. She told her family what she saw, but no one believed her at first. Then they started hearing that others had seen it too. What made these encounters so frightening was how consistent they were. Each witness described the same creature, its build, its glowing eyes, its upright posture, and the road was always the same. Bray Road. It wasn't a random location. It seemed almost like the creature was tied to it, like that stretch of land belonged to it. Some locals began to avoid it altogether after dark. They'd take longer routes home, unwilling to risk the possibility of seeing those glowing eyes on the shoulder of the road. As stories spread, the local police began to receive more and more calls. People reported seeing the creature dart across the road or standing in the fields just beyond the headlights. Some described it as watching passing cars, crouched low, waiting. There were even reports of livestock mutilations, missing dogs, and strange howls in the night. None of it could be proven, but for the people living there, the fear was real. What disturbed witnesses most was how human it seemed. This wasn't an animal caught in the headlights that reacted with intelligence. It moved with purpose. It didn't panic or run blindly into the woods like a deer or coyote. It seemed aware of being seen. Some said it even grinned a flash of teeth that made their stomach turn cold. Others described it making a deep, guttural growl that vibrated in the chest. Skeptics tried to explain it away. Maybe it was a large dog, maybe a bear with mange. But the problem with that theory was how many people claimed it walked upright. Not just stumbling or rearing up, but moving confidently, as if walking on two legs was natural for it. One witness said it ran beside her car at over 30 miles per hour, keeping pace with her for several seconds before veering into the woods. No animal could do that, not one that we know of. Local journalist Linda Godfrey was the first to collect these stories. She spoke to dozens of people, each with a similar account. They weren't drunk, they weren't attention seekers. Many were reluctant to even speak at first, afraid they'd be mocked. But when they finally did, the fear in their voices was genuine. She published their stories, and soon the entire town was talking about the beast. National media got involved. Reporters came from Chicago, then from across the country. Everyone wanted to see Bray Road for themselves, but no one ever caught the creature on camera. That mystery is what made the encounters so haunting. In the age of technology, people still couldn't capture it. It left no clear tracks, no body, no undeniable evidence. Only memories burned into the minds of those who claimed to have seen it. A farmer walking home from his field at dusk, a woman driving alone at night, a teenager daring friends to stop on the road. All of them saw something they could never explain, and all of them described it the same way. Over time, the stories took on a rhythm, almost like a ritual retelling of fear. Every few years, someone would come forward with a new sighting. Always at night, always on or near Bray Road. The legend didn't fade, it adapted. Paranormal investigators came with night vision cameras and thermal scanners. Cryptozoologists set traps and bait. But the beast of Bray Road remained one step ahead, as if it knew when to appear and when to vanish. What makes this story so powerful isn't just the monster itself, it's the setting. A simple country road, the kind anyone could drive down, transformed into a place of primal fear. It's the kind of story that makes you glance into your rearview mirror a little longer. When the night feels too quiet, it's not the kind of fear born from imagination, but from something deeper. The fear that maybe, just maybe, there's still something out there we haven't discovered. Something that watches the encounters on Bray Road changed how people saw their own town. For a while, Elkhorn wasn't just another quiet Midwestern community. It was a place where the unknown brushed against the ordinary, where the natural world and the supernatural blurred for just a moment. So, if you ever find yourself driving down a dark country road, headlights slicing through the mist, and you see a shadow move just beyond the edge of light, don't stop. Keep driving. Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved on the roadside. If you're fascinated by stories like this one, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Belmoze, because sometimes the scariest things aren't in faraway forests, they're waiting right there, in the dark, on the edge of the road. The debate around the Beast of Bray Road didn't fade with time, it only deepened. Once the initial shock of the sightings settled, people began to argue about what exactly the witnesses had seen. The consistency of their descriptions couldn't be ignored. A large fur-covered creature, standing upright, muscular, and wolf-like. But the question that hung in the air was simple. Could something like that truly exist? Or had the entire town fallen under the same illusion? Skeptics were quick to weigh in. They argued that the creature was likely a misidentified animal, a wolf or a bear. Wisconsin has black bears, after all, and they can stand upright for short periods. A bear on its hind legs, seen from a distance, especially under bad lighting or fog, could easily look human-like. Add fear and adrenaline, and a normal animal could become monstrous in the imagination. The problem was that the witnesses weren't describing a brief glimpse. They were describing clear, sustained sighting creatures walking with intent, turning their heads, crouching, even holding carcasses with their hands. Bears don't do that. Others suggested wolves. But wolves don't stand upright for long, and their shoulders are narrow. Witnesses spoke of wide shoulders, long arms, and a powerful chest traits that don't belong to any known wolf species. Some skeptics tried to bridge the gap by suggesting that perhaps people were seeing large dogs suffering from mange, a disease that causes fur loss and exposes the skin beneath. Under headlights, a mangy animal could look unnatural, even demonic. The issue with that theory was again in the details. Mange doesn't make a dog stand upright or leave tracks with long clawed toes pressed deep like a humanoid foot. For others, the explanation couldn't be found in biology at all. To them, it was something older, something that had always existed in human stories. Cryptozoologists, the researchers who investigate creatures not yet recognized by science, began to take interest. They compared the Bray Road reports to those of the Michigan Dogmen, a creature supposedly sighted in northern Michigan since the late 1800s. Descriptions matched eerily well: upright, canine, muscular, intelligent, and nocturnal. Both creatures were said to haunt rural roads, and both appeared most often near fields and wooded backroads. The similarity suggested either a shared cultural myth or a shared reality. Cryptozoologists also pointed to the land itself. The area around Elkhorn is cut through with old Native American burial mounds and ancient trails. To some, this added a layer of supernatural weight. In many indigenous legends, there are tales of shapeshifters beings who could take the form of animals but retain human traits. The beast of Bray Road, they said, might be a physical echo of those beliefs, or worse, something that had lingered in the shadows long before the farms were built. As these theories gained traction, researchers began collecting evidence footprints, fur samples, and witness sketches. Some of the tracks were large, nearly 13 inches long, with 5 digits and deep impressions suggesting weight far greater than a man's. Fur samples, when tested, often came back inconclusive, not matching local species. Critics claimed the samples were contaminated or too degraded to test accurately, but for believers, that only fueled the mystery. Then came the idea of a hybrid. Some speculated that the creature could be an unknown genetic mixan escaped experiment or natural anomaly. The 1990s saw a rise in public awareness of genetic research, and the concept of hybridization entered popular imagination. People wondered, could a wolf-dog hybrid, somehow mutated, develop the size and posture described? Biologists dismissed the idea, noting that while wolf-dog hybrids can grow large, they don't walk upright. But those arguing for a cryptodon, undiscovered animal species, believed the truth could lie somewhere, in between evolution and myth. To them, the beast was no accident. It was a species adapted to survive unseen. Cryptozoologists proposed the term canid anthropoid, describing a potential evolutionary offshoot of the canine family that developed bipedal traits. While the mainstream scientific community scoffed, that explanation did fit one thing: the creature's human-like intelligence. Witnesses didn't describe random aggression. They described stalking, watching, intelligent retreat. A bear or a wolf attacks when cornered. The beast of Bray Road never did. It seemed to choose its moments. That alone was enough to set it apart from anything natural. Local hunters started sharing strange findings. Deer carcasses with clean, precise cuts, tracks appearing near blood trails, then disappearing midfield as if the creature had leaped away. Some thought pranksters were behind it, but others pointed to details. No prankster could fake the weight distribution in the prints, the stride length, the depth of the impressions. These weren't the kind of details that show up in costume hoaxes. These were physical, measurable signs of something large and heavy moving through the area. Then came one of the more unsettling ideas that the beast might be connected to folklore, not through culture, but through manifestation. Paranormal researchers theorized that belief itself could give form to phenomena. The more people feared the beast, the more power the legend gained, perhaps drawing something real into existence. It's a theory called tulpa manifestation, an idea that intense belief can create a physical entity. For some residents, that explanation was as frightening as any other. It meant that simply talking about the beast could make it stronger. But despite these theories, the skeptics didn't back down. They pointed out that most sightings happened at night on lonely roads with little corroborating evidence. No photographs, no bodies, no physical capture, just stories and footprints. They said it was the perfect storm of imagination, fear, and folklore mixed with real-world shadows and wildlife. People see what they expect to see when they're afraid, and rural Wisconsin at night could make anyone's mind play tricks. Still, one thing refused to go away: the sheer number of witnesses. Farmers, police officers, children, and lifelong locals all told similar stories over decades. They couldn't all be lying. They couldn't all be mistaken. When pressed, most of them described the experience in the same words: "It looked back at me like it understood." That's not a bear, that's not a wolf. That's something that blurs the line between animal instinct and human awareness. Over the years, Bray Road became a quiet legend. Tourists drove through hoping for a glimpse. Local bars sold t-shirts and coffee mugs with the creature's likeness. But beneath the jokes and folklore, a few residents still refused to drive the road at night. For them, the beast wasn't a story. It was something they had seen with their own eyes, walking upright in the fog. Whether it was a hoax, a hybrid, or a cryptid, didn't matter to them. What mattered was the memory. The way their headlights caught the outline of something standing too still, too tall, too wrong. Science might dismiss it, but the roads remember. And every so often, someone new claims to see it, again large, furred, and walking like a man. Years passed, and still, no one caught the beast of Bray Road. Hunters set up trail cameras. Police patrolled the area, and curious thrill seekers spent nights parked along that quiet Wisconsin road, hoping to catch a glimpse. But all anyone ever found were strange footprints in the mud, shredded animal carcasses, and stories that didn't fade with time. It was as if whatever haunted that place didn't want to be captured, only remembered. Even as technology advanced, with better cameras and drones, the sightings kept coming, but the evidence never got clearer. People saw glowing eyes in the cornfields. They heard deep growls echoing through the mist. Drivers reported something large and fast crossing the road in front of them, vanishing before their headlights could catch the shape. The police files eventually thickened with reports, but each ended the same way. Unsubstantiated, the beast was everywhere and nowhere. What made the story endure wasn't proof, but the silence left behind after every encounter. The absence of answers became part of its power. In a time when science explains almost everything, the beast of Bray Road became a modern myth that refused to die. It existed in the space between fact and fear, a living question mark that mocked certainty. For the people of Elkhorn, the legend took root in daily life. Kids dared each other to walk Bray Road at night. Farmers told stories about missing livestock. Truck drivers avoided stopping on the road after sunset. The beast became part of the town's identity, its shadowed secret. And while skeptics dismissed it as a case of misidentification or mass hysteria, believers pointed to the consistency in the reports. The same road, the same shape, the same glowing eyes, watching from the fields. Linda Godfrey, the journalist who first investigated the story, kept returning to the area for decades. She interviewed hundreds of witnesses, and what struck her wasn't just what they said, was how deeply they were shaken by it. These weren't people chasing fame. Many didn't even want their names used. They just wanted to tell someone what had happened because it had changed how they saw the world. Godfrey once said that she didn't know what the beast was, but she was sure that the fear people felt was real. And maybe that's the point. The beast doesn't have to be caught to be real. It represents something older, something buried deep in human instinct, the fear that even in our civilized suburban world, we're never far from the wild. That under the hum of streetlights and the glow of cell phones, something ancient is still watching. The same fear that once made humans huddle by fires in the dark is still alive, waiting for its reflection in a pair of glowing eyes on a lonely road. Stories of the beast have spread far beyond Wisconsin now. It's no longer just a local legend, it's a piece of American folklore. Cryptid hunters across the country list it alongside Bigfoot and the Mothman. Documentaries, podcasts, and late-night radio shows still talk about it. The town of Elkhorn has embraced the mystery, hosting events and tours for those who want to walk the same roads, hoping for a glimpse of the unknown. Yet what makes the legend truly chilling? ISNT, just that people saw something that they still do. Reports continue to surface, sometimes years apart, describing the same creature with uncanny accuracy. Teamed. A couple driving late at night claimed to see a massive upright wolf run across the road and disappear into a cornfield. In 2020, another driver reported a similar figure standing motionless at the tree line, watching as their car passed. Even now, the sightings haven't stopped. For skeptics, that persistence might prove how myths evolve. For believers, it proves something darker, that the beast is still out there, stalking the edges of rural America, appearing only when it chooses. And maybe both views are true, because whether or not the beast is flesh and blood, it's alive in the collective imagination. The fear it sparks is as real as any footprint. The story also touches something deeper about human nature. It's a reminder that fear doesn't vanish with progress. We build cities, pave roads, and light the night sky, but the unknown still lurks just outside the glow. The Beast of Bray Road is a symbol of that bound area, warning that the wild isn't gone, it's only waiting. Think about what makes the story so haunting. It didn't happen in some distant, exotic place. It happened in suburban Wisconsin, a place of dairy farms, small churches, and quiet families. The creature didn't belong there, and yet it did. It turned a normal road into a place of primal dread, proving that fear doesn't need ancient ruins or Gothic castles. It only needs the right setting: a stretch of asphalt, a pair of headlights, and something waiting just beyond the beam of light. That's why the beast endures. Because we all understand that feeling the unease of driving alone at night, the glimpse of movement in the corner of your eye, the cold thought that you might not be as alone as you think. The legend speaks to that universal fear, that quiet voice whispering that there's something out there we can't control. Today, Bray Road is still there, just outside Elkhorn. You can drive it yourself. During the day, it looks harmless, just farmland and trees. But when night falls, the road changes. Locals say the fog rolls in thicker there than anywhere else. Some claim to hear low growls carried on the wind. Others see shapes moving between the trees. Whether it's imagination or something more, no one can say for sure. And maybe that's why the story has survived for decades. It gives people something they can't fully explain, something that makes the world feel mysterious again. In a time when we can map every inch of the planet and see every corner of it through a screen, stories like The Beast of Bray Road remind us that mystery still exists, that not everything can be captured, categorized, or proven. Some things simply are. So the next time you find yourself driving down a lonely country road at night, pay attention to the edges of the dark. Look just beyond the light of your headlights, because some roads hold more than memories. They hold things that were never meant to be understood. And if you ever see a pair of glowing eyes watching from the trees, remember this story and keep driving. If you enjoyed exploring this chilling tale of modern folklore, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to. There are more stories, waiting stories that blur the line between fear and reality, where legends aren't just remembered. They're still alive.